Card number 1. We are on white, as is pretty clear. It says Aegis of Heavens. 1 in the black. Instant +1/+7. Garbage. Aether Shield Artificer. It's a dwarf. It's not going to be much dwarf support once Kaladesh rotates out, but right now there is that dwarf lord. She's pretty money. Doesn't see a lot of play. This card, though, does seem pretty meh. So most of the angle of this review is going to talk from an arena, kind of standard, constructed point of view, but I will give shout out to drafts when I feel like they definitely deserve a shout out. This card is only okay in draft, as far as I'm concerned. Here's one of the spicy ones. A Johnny. First Planeswalker. Adversary of Tyrants. 2 and 2 white. +1. Put a +1/+1 counter on each up to 2 target creatures. -2 return target creature converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Does Selfless Spirit still exist? I don't think so, right? Or maybe with Chain Whirler, it's just terrible. Anyway, could be an okay -2. And the -7, you get 3 white cat creatures with lifelink. Seems fine. Seems like a good win con. I got to see this played last night in Standard Super League. And oftentimes it was looking pretty good. Those 2 +1/+1 counters is pretty badass. If you're being aggressive, you're got a good board state. Spreading out those counters is sweet. Hey, Thelona.
Yeah.
Thelona likes the cats. I have not seen this in a green-white kind of cat deck yet. But I think this card is pretty decent. In the right shell, it's pretty powerful. You would think that maybe this would work in like a Constrictor shell. The mana is pretty tough, but can you imagine getting the counters on each up to 2 target creatures that are doubled? Also, the -2 gets you back Constrictor. So that would be Abzan Constrictor. That's probably the greediest way to play it, but also the most effective. Otherwise, I think it just goes in aggressive white decks or white-green decks. It's a good card. You guys we'll see it around. People give it a good try. Johnny's Last Stand. This card is garbage. I don't get it at all. I guess you're paying 4 for a 4/4 white flying creature that you don't get out that turn. Yeah, I don't know. Weird kind of discard prevention, but no one's going to make you discard this card. You'd have to discard randomly or have it be your choice of discard. I don't know. People have said it's done some good things in draft, and I can see that. A 4/4 flyer for 4 in draft is fine, even if it takes an extra turn to get going. So maybe this card is good in draft. I still don't think I would pick one, pack one it or something, and it is rare, so it's not going to last forever. More Cat Attack. Whenever you gain life, you may put a counter on a Johnny's Pridemate. I don't know too much about the draft archetypes. I won't really know until I get in there. But there is a life gain archetype. And in that archetype, I think it's black-white. No surprise, really, for life gain. This card would be a beast. So I like this card a lot. There's a good amount of ways to gain life in M19. Does this card make it into standard? Probably not, but, you know, cats. Cats are never making the cut. Johnny's Welcome just seems like a terrible counsel to authority. It is a life trigger, though. As I was saying, if you're trying to do a life gain deck in draft, you can. And the art's kind of interesting. I don't know what's going on here. A lot of sparklies. It's like a Johnny stared at the sun. You guys ever stare at the sun? I don't recommend that, by the way. But then you get all those sparklies. You cannot defend others if your own well-being is neglected, says the Johnny. Meh. Angel of Dawn. 3/3 flyer for 5. When it enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +1/+1 and vigilance during the turn. This is a very good common card for draft. Definitely worth drafting. Kind of get a free attack out of it. Not going to make it in a constructed Angels deck. Yo, Max.
Yeah.
What up? We're about 4 cards in, 5 cards in, trying to move pretty fast. Cavalry Drillmaster. 2-drop, 2/1. When Drillmaster enters the battlefield, target creature gets +2/+0 and first strike to the end of the turn. It's a human and a knight. I think it's it's a decent enough 2-drop, but you don't really want to be playing too many of these. So, meh. This card's meh. Cleansing Nova. This is a big one. 5 mana Wrath of God. Or destroy all artifacts and enchantments. Right now, I think this card is a sideboard card. I'd be very surprised to see people playing this over Fumigate. When Fumigate rotates out, then we'll probably see plenty of Cleansing Nova. But until that point, I think Fumigate is just better. The life gain is actually super important in most of the decks you're trying to do stuff like this. So it could be in a sideboard. Like especially maybe if you're playing some kind of white aggressive or black-white aggressive deck. And you run into GPG, though. I don't know. You're just kind of screwed against GPG. Maybe you could have in the sideboard. If artifacts become a big thing because of Tezzeret and Karn synergies, there are some sweet artifact decks out there. We can talk about that at the end when we get into meta predictions. But I think until Fumigate rotates, this card will not see too much play. Daybreak Chaplain. 1/3 lifelinker. This is good for the life gain strategy in draft, and that's about it. Dwarven Priest. This has some life linking again. It's also got that 4 toughness. So if you're looking to gum up the board in the draft, I could see this. Like if you got angels that you're waiting on, you play this the turn previous and then start dropping flyers. Gain a bunch of life. Maybe okay. I wouldn't draft it too highly. Gallant Cavalry 2/2 for 4. When it enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 white note with vigilance. So 2/2 white knights for 4. It's definitely not as good as History of Benalia, which is 1 less. But it's something. I don't know. It's like Call of the Cavalry. How's it? I guess it creates a non-token creature versus Call of the Cavalry, which are token creatures, which could have some ramifications. Once again, not a very good card. Not seeing constructed play. Probably fine if you're trying to fill up 4-drops in draft. Herald of Faith. 4/3 flyer for 5. Flying. When Herald of the Faith attacks, you gain 2 life. Pretty decent. Pretty decent. Once again, I don't think this is making it any kind of constructed Angels deck, but certainly draftable. especially in the life game deck or just in general. There is Lightning Strike in M19, right? But there's also Shock, and this is bigger than Shock, so not a bad angel. Hieromancer's Cage. This is cast out, but not flash and not cycling. So, yeah. Totally fine removal in draft because there is no cast out, but this is never going to see play in constructed, ever. If you guys can give me a reason why this would work better than cast out or Ixalan's Binding, I'm open, but just seems strictly worse than both. Inspired Charge. 2 and 2 white. Creature you control gain +2/+1 till the end of the turn. Meh. Invoke the Divine. Fine. I think it's a good card. I like it. It's way better than like a Braid. A Braid is too oppressive in my opinion. This card is not oppressive. It's a sideboard card or a one of. People are playing it as a one of. You need something to combat GPG as well as some other stuff. So it's a fine card. Isolate. This card is just not made for standard or draft. It's made for modern or legacy. So it's garbage. You definitely don't want to open that in your draft pack. Knight of the Tusk. 3/7 vigilance for 6. Well, I don't know. Normally when I play 6, I like a 6/7 over a 3/7 vigilance. Like Primordial Worm, for example. So I think this card is garbage. Knight's Pledge. It's an aura. If green-white auras are a thing, this probably still doesn't make the cut. This aura, on the other hand, is much better. Fine in draft. This was around in duels. You like search this up with Boomweaver Giant. Is that what the card was? Yeah, that was a sweet play. Fun things you could do before we got Kaladesh. I don't like how this chat is right over stuff. Let's see. Let's move it over here. Sure. All right. I don't think this sees any play in constructed, but a fine draft card. Lena? I'm going to say Lena. Selfless Champion. Now this seems to be some kind of cycle they have going on. I'm not sure what the idea of the cycle is. I haven't read the lore for M19. I'm not sure there is lore for core sets. But there's some kind of legendary creature for 6, I think, cycle going on here. I know there's a red dragon, right? I'm not so sure about the other colors yet. Legendary 3/3. When Lena's Selfless Champion enters battlefield, create a 1/1 white soldier. For each non-token creature you can control, sacrifice Lena. Creatures you control the power less than Lena's gain indestructible until end of turn. I guess this is the top end of your token deck. This seems kind of garbage. I mean, it's probably totally fine in draft. But I don't think this makes it construct. 3/3, just a lightning strike, just kills it. I mean, it's already created a bunch of soldiers, but still. I guess you could sacrifice it immediately, and then at least you get indestructible. This card could be better. Leonin Vanguard. A 1/1 for 1. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, if you control 3 or more creatures, Leonin Vanguard gets +1/+1 until end of turn, and you gain 1 life. It's a cat. The best fighters are skilled in both harming and healing. Is that what cats think? Not really. I don't like this. I don't know how aggro the format is yet. I mean, you had to be pretty darn aggro. You compare this to something like Snubhorn Century. At least it can attack turn 2 and Snubhorn can't. But if you control 3 or more creatures, that's pretty much Ascendancy. And then your Snubhorn would be a 3/3. Yeah, I guess they do. I've never seen a cat protect anything. I've seen them attack things. I'm not a cat guy, though. I'm a dog guy. Anyway, seems pretty bad unless there really is a go-wide token strategy. Leonin War Leader, 2 and 2 white, 4/4. Whenever Leonin War Leader attacks, create 2 white cat creature tokens with lifelink that are tapped and attacking. Now that's kind of an important part, is the tapped and attacking part. So certainly they can just be running into like a 4/4 blocker. But then you're basically just gaining 2 life every time he attacks. I think this card is pretty darn good. It's certainly good in draft. I think people are going to try this. Handwear Garrison. Handwear Garrison costs 3, or Handwear Militia, or did it transform from the Garrison to the Militia? I'm close. I know I'm close. I don't know. I think if you're trying to do a cat deck, you're going to play this card. Pride Mage turn 3, this turn 4 seems pretty good. Normally cats don't have haste. This card would be sweet if it had haste. I don't know what's going on in the back. It looks like there's some lines laying in the grass, but then one is kind of standing up wearing a necklace. Not so sure about all that. I don't know. Fun card if you like cats. If you like elephant soldiers, though, here's the guy for you. Loxodon Linebreaker. 3/3/2. Meh. Not even a gray ogre. Luminous Bonds. Garbage and standard. Plenty good removal and draft. Make a Stand. This could be a D's combat trick. It's a little expensive, but this could certainly be a D's combat trick if that's what you're in the business for in draft. Mentor of the Meek. We went through this one pretty in-depth in a previous stream. And I think we ended up on like a black-white what do you call that? What do you call that enchantment that whatever the token enchantment, the black-white, come on, Hidden Stockpile. Some kind of deck like that, because it doesn't say whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield. It's just any creature. So that's pretty sweet. Like a SRAM's Expertise. Definitely should have another planet in the deck. But like if you can Sram's expertise one turn and draw 2 cards, then you're good. If you can draw 2 cards off of this, I think you've already made your money. 5 mana for 2. I guess that's a bit expensive, but it also eats a bolt. So I think that's fine. And any more than drawing 2 cards is just ridiculous. It's a soldier, not a knight. It's a human. I wonder if this is going to go into the humans deck in Modern. They play a lot of 2-drop creatures. Ugh. And they can Aether Violet in so they have mana up to draw the card. Ew, does this make it in humans? Ugh. As you can tell, I don't really like the humans deck that much. Never played it though. Maybe if I played it, I'd change my mind. Anyway, this card definitely is interesting. You will see people trying to break it, jank it, whatever. Maybe when Goblin Chain Whirler rotates out, which is never. So, Mighty Leap. This is a reprint. Sideboard card against Flyers. Militia Bugler. I heard someone calling this Bugler yesterday. I didn't say anything, but he's got a bugle in his mouth. He's not a bugler. It's not a bugle in his mouth. 2/3 Vigilance. When Militia Bugler enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards. You may reveal a creature card with power 2 or less from among them. Put them in your hand. Put the rest at the bottom of your library. I like Glint Nest Crane better. Frank Karsten actually wrote an article, I think on Channel Fireball, about the percentages of this card and what you needed to fill your deck with to achieve what kind of success percentage. I don't know. This is okay in draft. I don't think it makes it in constructed at all. It's not even a knight. If it's a knight, we might be talking. Novice Knight. 1, 2, 3 defender. As long as Novice Knight is enchanted or equipped, it can attack as though it didn't have defender. This card's interesting. I like this. The idea of this card. A 2/3 for 1 is nice, even if it can't attack. But there's certainly a lot of auras and aura payoffs here. So if you're doing green-white auras in draft, which maybe that's an archetype, I would be psyched for this card. Also works with Arcades, and he is Bant. Arcades the Strategist. That's the dragon that lets you turn defenders into creatures. With Arcades, this is a 3/3 for 1, basically. I mean, all you need is a cheap piece of equipment, too, you know? You don't have to necessarily get 2 for 1 with an enchantment. Though I don't think there's anything like Short Sword. I think Marauding Axe or something for 2 is the cheapest piece of equipment that's worth playing. Interesting card. I like it. This card is a cat. I guess we'll read the flavor text. The Leonin of Orozcos are quick to take offense, not because they are thin-skinned, but because they are always ready to fight. Maybe a little bit of both. Pegasus Courser. This is a great card in draft. Remorseful Cleric. Now this card's pretty interesting. It probably has more use in like Modern. But there is a Spirit Lord in this set, and this is a Spirit. The 1 toughness, of course, is terrible. You do get to exile target player's graveyard, not just all graveyards, which is generally better, I would say. You could bring this in, perhaps, like if you are playing... I saw the white-black knights just get run over by GPG, and I know I bring it up a lot, but it's a strong deck, and it's going to still be strong. You could bring this in out of the sideboard for a GPG matchup. And I think you'd be pretty happy with that. They don't really have much removal. So you can just kind of have it out there attacking in the air until they try to do stuff, and then you exile it. I think a lot of people, more people should be running Scavenger Grounds, but if you don't want to run Scavenger Grounds, or you just want it on a white creature, I think this is a pretty good option. So this could be heavily a big sideboard card if it turns out that you're really weak to GPG. Now this card is a good one. I saw this guy in action, and it is good. Resplendent Angel, 1 and double white, flying 3/3. So you pay 3 for a 3/3 flyer, which is decent. At the beginning of each end step, if you gain 5 or more life this turn, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance. For 5 mana, triple white. 6 mana, triple white, 3 colorless. Until end of turn, Resplendent Angel gets +2/+2 and gains lifelink. You should have my email, CGB, but I'll whisper. They heard what I said about the economy. I totally want to be in there, CGB. I hope you get it. I hope you let me know. And yeah, man, thanks for the opportunity. And sorry that it's not going off today. You probably had your day planned out. You probably had your snacks lined up. Real talk, CGB. Did you have your snacks lined up, and what were they? So what this card can do is just serve as a mana sink, and if you pay 6, you're already hitting for 5/5 lifelink, which means you're getting that angel. So it can do everything on its own. Of course, Lyra makes this a 4/4 lifelinker. Make a Twitter happen? I need to do a Twitter? Are you telling me that right now, CGB? Oh, man. Oh, boy. I wonder if I need to make a whole new email address. Oh, look at this. I have one. It's Shaolin CB. Lol. Okay. I guess I have a Twitter. Come at me, bros. Don't. I never checked this, ever. All right. Anyway. Back to the business. Sorry for the distraction, folks, but I got to get in there, you know? I think you got to... All right. I'll check it over the next 24 hours. If you could actually, like, tweet me something, CGB, as kind of a test, I'd appreciate that. Or just friend me on Twitter or something so that I can get used to it. I think angels are a real deal thing here. Resplendent Angel at 3, Shalai at 4, Lyra at 5. That's redonk. Like, I don't... Currently, there's that green-white deck with angels, but I think Resplendent Angel makes Llanowar Elf kind of bad. Because there's basically no way to get a turn 2 Resplendent Angel with Llanowar Elf. So I think Angels is a mono-white deck. Or I'm searching for another color. Maybe red, for example. It would be sweet to cast Banefire, you know? It kind of, like, the Banefire plus the Lyra being the Bane Slayer Angel. There's like a bit of flavor in there. You pick up a bunch of cheap removal, Abrades and Lightning Strikes. Maybe the deck's good enough as mono white, but I think you guys are going to see a lot of Resplendent Angels cast. And though it doesn't necessarily need to be killed immediately, it certainly needs to be dealt with before it's too late. But can you imagine Resplendent Angel into Shalai, into Lyra, into pumping Resplendent Angel? Or something like that? This card is very good, and I'm going to try it out a lot. I don't think you need to do anything stupid like Arcane Adaptation or anything. I think there's just enough good angels. Now, sadly, Shalai and Lyra are legendary. There's also Angel of Sanctions and Angel of Inventions. I think in an angel deck, I'd be more interested in the Angel of Sanctions than the Angel of Invention. You could do Radiant Destiny. Yeah, Gunner, I agree. Welcome to the stream today.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this card is very good, and I'm gonna play with it a lot, and I think a lot of other people are. I don't like, if you're playing blue-white control, I still think you want Lyra instead of Resplendent Angel in your sideboard or something. I don't really think you want this instead of Lyra. It just doesn't stop a red deck like Lyra does in its tracks. GP Orlando, no, I am a online player. I did go to my first SCG event because it was in my hometown of Baltimore, but I just watched. I didn't play. I have some paper cards, but they're terrible. Is Samite Healer still good? A good card in Standard? Modern? Samite Healer not even modern playable? Legacy only? Anyway. Yeah, so I'm not going, but I do watch. Like, I really got into watching a bunch of Magic, so if you're going, Gunner, I will see you there. Let's say that. Or if you're going and playing, I'll see you there. And get on TV. Revitalize. 2. You gain 3 life, draw a card. I think I would play this in the life game, black-white life game deck if I needed just like another playable. Nice, Gunner. Good luck. Good luck. Otherwise, it's not like cycling. If this was cycling instead, I could see it. Well, then it's already the same as another card, right? What is that card? Is that card just strictly better? Red, black, aggro. You gonna put Banefire in your sideboard? I think that's the hot tech, Gunner. If you're playing like, I guess you're playing aggro, so I don't know how many lands you're playing, but if you're playing like a 24 lander, pretty sure you take out the Fight with Fires and you put in the Banefires. Because late game, you could just kill it to Fury. Uncounterably kill it to Fury. Or just go face. I don't think it makes the main deck, but 2 Sarkons. Are you going to play that dragon that does 5 damage, or they sacrifice a creature? Sarkon actually looked kind of good too when I saw it. I guess I saw it in draft. But it was better. Like, I was pretty down on Sarkon. But it can do some things. Rust-winged Falcon. It's a 1/2 flyer for 1. Strictly better than Suntail Hawk. Rip Suntail Hawk. Yeah, I think it's worth a try, Gunner. I don't know how much you play tested, but yeah, the ability to just filter your cards is great. It is not Zarvolt. It was canceled due to Arena having some issues. Was there a flavor for that? I'll read some flavor for the Rust-winged Falcon. Native to wide prairies and scrublands, falcons occasionally roost in dragon skeletons. I mean, this blocks Thopters, you know? It's not terrible. Shield Mare can be blocked by red. When Shield Mare enters the battlefield or becomes the target of a spell or ability opponent controls, you gain 3 life. This is another cycle in Core 19 are these mares. Pretty sure there's a mare in every color, and this is one of the worst ones. I mean, maybe it's a mono red hoser, and maybe in your mono white angel deck, this is in the sideboard if you're having problems with mono red. But just a 2/3 getting in there is not great. If it had protection from red, we could be talking. But I don't think they're ever going to print protection again. Star-crowned stag. I'm going to have to get a Twitter app on my phone. That's going to be the death of me. 3/3 for 4. It's an elk. When Star-crowned stag attacks, tap target defending creature player control. So this is like Territorial Hammerskull. Territorial Hammerskull was a 3-drop and a 2/3, but this card is plenty good too in draft. It's not. I would still rather have Hammerskull because it's a 3-drop, and this is generally going in an aggro deck. But it's nice. It's definitely playable. Sun Cleanser. A 2-drop 1/4. You can choose one of these of 2 ETB effects. Remove all counters from target creature. It can't have counters put on it for as long as Sun Cleanser remains on the battlefield. Target opponent loses all counters. That player can't get counters for as long as Sun Cleanser remains on the battlefield. What? What? I'm down with the art. This person looks out of his mind. And I think a good cleric should be out of his mind a lot of the time. But, I mean, I could see, like, you play this as an anti-infect sideboard card. That's the only thing I could think of to do with this guy. But as an anti-infect sideboard card, it seems pretty good. Like, I guess if you're playing Death and Taxes. Though I don't know if Infect's really a bad matchup because you already have Path to Exile and stuff or something. But this, I have no idea why you would want to play this in Standard. It's not good against a Constrictor deck. Oh, it's target opponent. So what counters does the person have that you want to remove? Energy? So I don't get this card. Please feel free to tell me if this card has any use anywhere. I can't figure it out. The first one, remove all creatures, is from target creature, not opponent's creature. I mean, these -1/-1 counter decks are terrible. Like Baleful Amit and Hapatra. Now maybe there's something like super broken where it's like it's a 15/15 creature that comes into the battlefield with 14 -1 counters on it as a 1-drop or something, and then you play this turn 2 and all of a sudden you have a 15 on the battlefield swinging. Like that I guess would be the best, but I'm not sure there's any creature really like that. Soul Stinger was one from kills a ballista. But I mean, they just sacrificed the ballista. Man, that is narrow. Narrow. Let's move on. Take Vengeance. This is a sweet removal card for draft. Yeah, no, I appreciate you trying to find something. Because that card is just painful to think about. It's sorcery speed, so in a way it's not as good as Seal Away, but it's a spell, not an enchantment, so maybe it is. Fine removal in draft. I don't think you would ever play this in Constructed. Trusty Pack Beast. 2/3 for 3. When Trusty Pack Beast enters the battlefield, return target artifact from your graveyard to your hands. Filler card. It's not a 3/3 for 3, but if you are doing fun artifact things, perhaps it would be okay. I'm not sure what artifacts you're sacrificing in this set. Now here's a card. Valiant Knight. Other knights you control get +1/+1. For 5, knights you control gain double strike until end of turn. That's a beating. I saw people playing Black-White Knights. They were not playing this card. So, I don't know. I would like to try it in certainly Mono-White Knights, but secondly in Black-White Knights. You can still play History of Benalia. It's nice, so you kind of don't need a Radiant Destiny. It's tough to kill on its own. It's a 3/4, so you can't just bolt it away or something. Big Lion, Tiny Knights. Seriously, I'm not really sure why that lion has decided to let those people ride him. I guess he's just nice. But I don't think you're cracking the whip on that lion when you're riding it, or you're going to end up in a load of trouble. Yeah, it looks like a cleric and a squire. Like, this guy doesn't even look like he made knight yet. He's still in apprentice mode. Or he's just hanging out with his mom. That could be a girl. It's a little tough for me to tell. Anyway, this card's worth playing around in. I'm certain it's totally fine in draft. I don't know how many other knights. There are a good amount of knights. There's some soldiers, but there's some knights to get. A 3/4 for 4 is okay. And if you can just have 1 or 2 more knights, then I think this is an awesome draft card. Ooh, on to blue. We did it, boys. We did it. 1 down. Crap, we might need to go faster. Aether Tunnel. Meh. Anticipate, I'm curious about. We're trying to go fast. So this competes with strategic planning, except that it's instant. I don't know. I kind of like this card a lot. I think it's better than Chart of Course, unless you're trying to do mill. I know Pro Mode was in here trying to talk up Turbo Mill. I'm sure Thelona will play some mill. You guys are just despicable people, really. But the fact that Teferi untaps 2 lands makes me think that Anticipate might see some play. Because being able to hold up Essence Scatter or Sensor, and then still having card draw at the end of turn seems pretty good. So, I don't know. I like it. Do you guys like it better or less than Telling Time? Didn't CGB... I forgot what your feelings on Telling Time were. I think... What up, Bell? I think people kept telling you it was good and you weren't sold. I can't really remember. Telling Time was okay in the right deck, and I think this card is too. I mean, you get to look at 3 cards, you know? Supreme Will. It's cheaper than Supreme Will. I don't know. I think it's worth trying in a lot of decks. Way more than Telling Time. Yeah, there are lots of times where you only wanted one of the cards. Able Wind Mage, 3-drop, 2/2 flyer. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, the mage gets +1/+1. This is a pretty decent flyer in draft. It's a bird and it's a wizard, so if you like birds or wizards, but I don't think it's going to make it in a wizard deck. So what I noticed they do here is they don't use any of the keywords. There's cards that have kicker, and this card basically has prowess. But in the core sets, they don't seem to use keywords. So this should just say prowess, right? But because they want to make the set approachable to beginners, they just spell everything out. I guess if they reprinted, they would put, I don't know. Aviation Pioneer, 2/1. Speaking of dual skills cardboard, what card is this reminiscent of? Why is it worse than prowess? Oh, prowess is non-creature? Okay, then it's just like whatever Adalez does. Prowess is pretty fun. Anyway, Aviation Pioneer, 2 in a blue for a 1/2 flyer that produces a 1/2 copter. This is very similar to Eldrazi Scion, which actually saw just standard play for a while. Also was one of the best commons that you could draft in whatever format that was. I think Eldrazi Scion is a little better because that gave you a 2/1 on the ground. No, wait, it gave you a 2/1 flyer with a 1/1 little Eldrazi that you could sacrifice, that you could ramp with. So this is a fair amount worse because you get a 1/2 on the ground, but you get a 1/1 flyer. Definitely a good draft card. Bone to Ash. The counter spell you don't ever want to play. Could be fine if like control is a thing in draft. But when Essence scatters around, drawing a card, it's not worth it for 2 extra. With Teferi untapping 2 lands, get out of here. Cancel? Sure. Departed Deckhand. Do we like the cancel? I do like this cancel art. But if you guys have better cancel art, you let me know. I'm sure there are a few more I would like, but this is a fine cancel art. Departed Deckhand. Spirit Pirate. There's another Spirit. 2/2 for 2. When it becomes the target of a spell, sacrifice it. Departed Deckhand can't be blocked except by spirits. You can pay 4 mana, and another target creature you control can't be blocked this turn except by spirits. So there are not going to be a lot of spirits running around. So these are basically unblockable. It's going to be a rare event when there's a spirit up against you that you can block. Though this card is a pretty good card, so it's certainly going to be main decked in every draft deck who drafts it. Just spirits. You would think it would be illusion, because illusions are usually the ones that have to get sacrificed when you target them with a spell, like Jace's little dorks and Labyrinth Guardian. Is that guy illusion, or is he a spirit? I don't know how to spell Labyrinth Guardian, though. He's an illusion. Yeah, there's a weird flavor there, but this card is very good in draft. Once again, I don't think spirits are going to be anything at all in standard. But it's a cool card. Disperse. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Is Blink of an Eye just strictly better than this? I think so, right? But still, this is a good card for draft. But I don't think it will see any play till Blink of the Eye rotates out, which it never will. Unless you need more of that effect. Divination. We know this card. It's a fine draft pick. I don't think it makes main deck, though. People were main decking this in that weird, like, Eldest Reborn. Oh, a Mirari Conjecture deck. Oh, rip Nomad. Sorry. Anyway, I guess if you're playing Mirari Conjecture, you might want to actually play this. Now, here's a fun one. Anything that says Wish, you know you gotta take seriously. This is the Djinn of Wishes, 3 and double blue for a 4/4 flyer. Already pretty decent. It's my own fault for not being a partnered streamer. Then I'd have quality options. Isn't that how that works? The Djinn of Wishes enters the battlefield with 3 wish counters on it. You can pay 2 colorless and 2 blue to remove a wish counter. Reveal the top card of your library. You may play that card without paying its mana cost. If you don't, exile it. So this is fine as a rando effect, but it certainly begs you to somehow know what's on the top of your library. Now, the trigger here is instant speed. So you could do something like, can you work this with search to Azcanta? Can you see the card from search? Keep it on the top of your library and then quickly hit this before you actually draw your card? Otherwise, there's a few cards that have brainstorm-like effects, which this would work with. There's also the Simic Nissa that lets you scry 2. Basically, any kind of scrying. Anticipate is not good for this. Strategic planning is not really good. But if you can somehow control a little bit, I guess you could use Forerunners, but of course that's pretty crazy. I mean, if you could cheat in Omniscience, seems like Omniscience and Djinn of Wishes kind of have some flavor together. Are there tutors that put stuff on the top of your deck? I don't think so. I mean, there are, but I don't think we have access to them. I think all our tutors put it into your hand. Except for the Forerunners. I mean, you could Forerunner up a Polyraptor and then play it for free. That would be turn 6 if you're not ramping or anything. So even then, it's not great. You could tutor up The big dino. Can't think of that name. But that seems pretty janky. It's better to find some cards that manipulate your deck a little bit better. And I think Scrying is probably the best way. Like Treasure Map would be good with this card even. But you kind of do want some giant payoffs. Maybe this goes in some kind of Reanimator deck. I don't know. I find it hard to believe that this would be standard playable, but it's certainly going to be fun. Dwindle. Seems like fine removal. Obligatory spin the wheel card. Yeah, maybe. This is whatever. Essence Scatter. We know that card works. Exclusion Mage. Here's Reflector Mage, try number 3. Academy Journey Mage was try number 2. When Exclusion Mage enters the battlefield, return target creature an opponent controls to its hand. It's a 2/2 for 3. I mean, if you can play Exclusion Mage turn 3, Academy Journey Mage turn 4, that's some sweet tempo action. And I know Thelona likes some sweet tempo action. I don't know if it's good enough. See, I knew you'd be on board, Thelona. Maybe mono blue. But then you don't have the burn. Blue-black wizards could also be a thing. I think there's a couple of decent-looking black wizards coming up. Can't remember. It's worth considering. Certainly a fine playable in draft. Frilled Sea Serpent, 6 drop, 4/6 for 5 and double blue. Frilled Sea Serpent can't be blocked. I like this better than that 3/7 Vigilant Dude for 6 in white. This card's playable. I mean, you get through 4 damage. It's not great, but it's unblockable. That's a pretty useful thing in draft. Gearsmith Prodigy, Human Artificer. A 1/2 for 1. Gearsmith Prodigy gives +1/+0 as long as you control an artifact. Yeah, Thelona. I mean, the Tempo ES deck was the Flame of Kel deck, which was just a red deck. But that seemed to me the best Tempo deck. This card seems fine. If you are on Artifact Beatdown, which you certainly could be with Heart of Kieran, Scrap Heap Scrounger, Ballistas, Scrap Trawlers. And even without an artifact, it's a 1/2 body, so you're blocking Bomac Courier. I like this card. I like 1-drops in general. I am biased, but I like this card. Do you guys like this, or you think this card is meh? I think a lot of these artifact decks are going to be playing Renegade maps, because Renegade map is awesome, as I've always said. I don't know. I like this guy. Worst Inventor's Apprentice. It's true. If I don't want to play red, you know? It works with Inventor's Goggles. I mean, why compare any card to a Kaladesh card? Unless you go way back. Ghost Form. Up to 2 target creatures can't be blocked this turn. Yeah, I don't like this. Horizon Scholar. 4/4 flyer for 6. Enters the battlefield scry 2. This is a lot like Cloud Reader Sphinx. It costs 1 more and has 1 more power. Cloud Reader Sphinx was plenty good, but that was a common. This is an uncommon, so it's good, but you're not going to see nearly as many of them as you did Cloud Reader Sphinxes. I mean, it's got the Kaladesh setting. Is that what you're talking about? Young artificers on Kaladesh let their imaginations run wild. Whatever. Kaladesh is rotating. Then you guys will be singing the praises. Just wait. Metamorphic Alteration. Enchant creature. As Metamorphic Alteration enters the battlefield, choose a creature. Enchanted creature is a copy of the chosen creature. You should be able to copy Carnage Tyrant with this, right? Just like Vizier of Many Faces. It says choose a creature. I don't know. This seems like a card that you might be able to get some janky combos going with. I thought I saw something about a combo with this deck. I don't even know, Bell. I don't even know. Because it is an ETB trigger, huh? I don't think this card is very good. Like, it's screaming for 2 for 1. Like, I do like the idea of upgrading your creature late. You start with a bunch of weenies, and then there's some sweet creature. But if it's the opponent's sweet creature, then you're basically just going to trade for it. And that's kind of a 2 for 1. If it's your own creature, guess that's fine. I don't know. You do make a copy of it. Anyway, I don't know. Maybe someone will do something broken, but otherwise I think the card's pretty garbage. Mirror Image. Speaking of the same idea, this is a shapeshifter for 3. You may have Mirror Image enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature you control. Any creature you control. So this card is, I don't know. I guess I'm going to draft it and see how well it does. But you need a creature on board, otherwise it's a 0/0. What happens if you copy Heart of Kirin with this? Like, you make Heart of Kirin a creature, then you have another Heart of Kirin? Or when it turns back to an artifact, something bad happens? I guess you can't copy Heart of Kirin anyway because it's legendary. Let's say Aether Sphere Harvester. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this card is very good either. I don't trust shapeshifters. They're shifty. Well, you activate the Aether Sphere Harvester first, so it's a creature, and then you copy it. I don't know. It doesn't seem any better than just playing another Aether Sphere Harvester if that's what you want to do. All those Shapeshifter cards, you really want to copy a card. That's huge. So I remember Shapeshifters like that. There was a weird combo in like a cube draft where you could bring like a Shapeshifter back from the graveyard. Maybe it was Phantasmal Image. So maybe there's something broken there when you try to like bring it back from the graveyard or something. It is a 0/0, right? I don't know if there's something you can do with the 0 power creature. Mistcaller. 1 blue, 1/1, Merfolk Wizard. Till end of turn, if a non-token creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, exile it instead. I don't think this is really for standard play. I think this is more of a modern thing or legacy thing. Could work against Young Pyromancer, all right. I mean, you certainly could use it against an... I don't know. It actually doesn't work with Young Pyromancer. I guess it shuts down like Reanimator strategies. Like the super degenerate broken ones that have like turn 2 Grizzlebrand. Having this card up against someone trying to reanimate a turn 2 Grizzlebrand would be awesome. So I think that's what this card is for. Yeah. Mystic Archaeologist. Human Wizard 2/1 for 2. Pay 5, draw 2 cards. You got me at draw 2 cards. Seems good. The 1 toughness is, of course, terrible. I'd much rather have this card be a 1/2 in this day and age. Wizard Hoopu. I mean, I'm certain this is a fine draft card. What a mana sink, right? An unbelievable mana sink. Whether or not there's a blue Wizards deck, I don't know. Chain Whirler is certainly a problem. You can't, it's hard to pump these guys. Nerumea is kind of terrible. I don't know. Seems like you'd rather just have Search for Azcanta, though. If your whole goal is to draw cards for a 2-drop. Sweet draft card. Omen Speaker. 1/3 for 2. When Omen Speaker enters the battlefield, scry 2. Now, see, this pairs up nicely with that Djinn of Wishes. Perhaps if you drafted a Djinn of Wishes, you would want to put some Omen Speakers in your deck. That seems like a fine little synergy. Otherwise, this card's pretty bad. Omniscience. I pronounce this omniscience, not omniscience. You may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana costs. Certainly a good card once you play it. It costs 10. What you need to do is... You say omniscience? Ugh. You think it's a phenomenal draft card? I think it's a good one. I guess it's fine. As far as 2-drops go, the Scry 2 is really nice. reminds me of the red white dwarf. And that was pretty nice. He was a 3-1 though. He was a beater. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like maybe blue white control is a thing. So there seems to be not a lot of good answers to flyers in draft. I'm not sure. All right, so Nomad's picking this pretty highly. It's certainly good for a common. You're going to see it a lot. That's my guess. Yeah, that's true. What's the card that gives you 10 mana of any single color? There's that red card, which we'll get to eventually. That gives you 10 mana of any color. You like reveal the top 7 cards, and then you can cast any of them. And I think it's like a 7-drop. So the idea would be to play that as a 7-drop, get 10 mana, flip Omniscience, cast it, you're golden. I don't know. This card is just super expensive. Ramp is pretty decent. I mean, that Sifter Worm deck is okay. The Bant Lands deck is around. I could certainly get to 10 mana, no problem with that Sifter Worm deck. But most of my hand is spells besides the Sifter Worms. You really want to be playing permanents with Omniscience. You really need to reload your hand after you cast this. Is it also 10? I thought maybe it was 7. Anyway, this card makes you want to play it, but I don't think I'm going to play it very much. One with the Machine. A sorcery speed 4-drop says draw cards equal to the highest converted mana cost among artifacts you control. This is an interesting draw spell. If I'm talking paradoxical outcome, this draws me 4 cards if I have Reservoir out. It's pretty good. Drawing 4 for 4 is very good. Metalwork Colossus. If you draw 3 cards off this, it's still very good. If you draw 2 cards off of it, Torrential Gearhulk. It's just sorcery speed. It's a big problem with it. I don't know. Scrap Trawler. Heart of Kieran. I think those are probably the cards you'd most likely be casting it off of. I don't know. Reverse Engineer might just be better. If you're just playing a bunch of artifacts anyways, you can do Reverse Engineer on turn 2 and draw 3 cards, or on turn 3 and draw 3 cards. Yeah, it fits with Inspiring Statuary, but it's certainly not better than Paradoxical Outcome for drawing cards in that deck. I think Reverse Engineer is just better. And like, I even took out Reverse Engineer because I kept getting my sorcery speed countered, and I switched in Glimmers. So maybe one's Glimmer and Reverse Engineer rotate, which I'm pretty sure they're both Kaladesh or Aether Revolt. Then maybe we'll see this card in artifact decks more. But once those rotate out, what kind of artifact decks are we going to have? Patient Rebuilding, 5-drop enchantment. the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent puts the top 3 cards of the library into the graveyard. Then you draw a card for each land card put into the graveyard this way. Woo! This card is spicy. No, Matt, I hate that mono blue Storm deck. I think my blue-red Storm deck is just infinitely better. They're still running 4 Prophetic Prisms, and I think Prophetic Prism is terrible. I'm definitely going to put Psi Master Thopterist in. I already have Karn in. But those outcomes are terrible. And not running Saheeli Ra, I think, is also a big mistake. That's why I run red. And Saheeli Ra is very good in that deck. So, I don't know why people like the mono blue. I think it's not nearly as good as my deck. And I know that sounds conceited as all hell, but I like the blue-red version way better. Anyways, this is, as much as I hate Mill, this card's pretty sweet. Like, so you already have the card, you already have the Sphinx Tutelage out, which says you mill them 2 whenever you draw a card. Then you play this, and that's just game. I wonder if mill and draft is a thing. Well, I mean, I think you would play this anyways, even if you're not trying to mill. Nicol Bolas would not rest until he was restored to his former glory. I like this card a lot. I think it has to go in a mill deck, though. Maybe if you're playing, like, a white-blue mirror match, you have this in the sideboard, and you could just play this card and mill them, as opposed to, like, trying an Ipnu Rivulet strategy. But probably just for mill. And the way Pro Mode was talking about mill, you might not even need this, you know? This might be too expensive. But I like the card a lot. I hope to play with it. Psychic Corrosion. An enchantment for 3. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent puts the top 2 cards of their library into the graveyard. So there's the tutelage. It's that uncommon, just like Sphinx's tutelage was. There you go. You guys got your mill. This is probably the keystone card to all that. What's interesting is what I think is a very good card in the mill deck, and I hate to say this in case someone didn't think of it. It's Chart a Course. Chart a Course is a sick card for mill. Like Strategic Planning, Anticipate all suck, but Chart a Course is awesome. So is Sift, for that matter. Pro Mode was talking Cathartic Reunion. I think he was a 3-color teamer. I guess, because Tutelage had the ability to activate it. Techova. We're going to see some mill, I know, by people in this chat, let alone Psi Master Thopterist. Now this is sexy. It's a 3-drop, 1/4 legendary creature, human artificer. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, create a 1/1 Thopter artifact creature token with flying for 2 mana and sacrificing 2 artifacts. You draw a card. So Chainwhirler still sucks. And my guess is if someone was playing 4 Chainwhirlers, you would board this card out if you had the choice. But I do like people trying this in the Storm decks. You play a lot of artifacts, and it just gives you a bunch more. There's chump blockers, really. You can also use it to draw cards, but you don't really want to be sacrificing your artifacts to draw cards. in the Storm deck. Perhaps in a different kind of deck, you might want to be doing that. But this is sweet and definitely worth trying. I think people are running like 4 of them in their Storm decks, and that seems crazy. But I guess that's how you get a good taste of whether it's good or not. You run 4, see how much work it does for you, and then decide whether to cut it down, because it is legendary. I think I'd probably be up to 2, be the most I would play. This does make Prophetic Prism better. I know I just went through a speech about how much I hate Prophetic Prism, but this certainly makes it better, because then Prophetic Prism is making a Thopter and drawing a card. This card's cool. It's certainly going to be fun to play with. You're going to see it in my decks a lot. This also works great in just the green-blue improvised deck with Maverick Thopterist. Now that might be a 4 of in that Grixis improvised deck. A little bit of Aether Grid. Do we still have Aether Grid? Or is that gone? Maybe Aether Grid's gone. Salvager's Secrets. 5 mana for a 2/2. When Salvager's Secrets enters the battlefield, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Yo, what up, Ninjo? Sorry, I didn't notice that was you chiming in earlier. What is happening?
Yeah.
I don't know. This card is very expensive. You better have something you want to get back bad. Then again, Githyu Chronicler was 6 for a 1/3 that did this. And Githyu Chronicler was playable. But Githyu Chronicler also had the option of going down on turn 2 as a 1/3 to block. This does not. It's a Merfolk, it's a wizard. It's kind of meh. Scholar of the Stars. 4-drop, 3/2. When Scholar enters the battlefield, if you control an artifact, draw a card. Is this better than our friend, the Rock's Disciple? Our monk friend? Getting back sleep. That's pretty good, no man. It's pretty good use. I mean, I think it's okay in draft, but don't you want to be playing a 6/7 or something, or a 4/4 flyer for 5? I don't know. This guy's okay. The problem is you need to control an artifact, so I don't know. Even in draft, this card's a bit sketchy. If you don't have an artifact, paying 4 for a 3/2 is bad. Switcheroo! We're almost to switcheroo. Sift. This is going to be in the mill decks, people. This is going to be in the mill decks. It's going to be gross when they cast it. Turn 3 tutelage, turn 4 sift. Sweet card in draft. Probably not standard playable because it's sorcery speed. Skilled Animator. A 3-drop, 1/3. When it enters the battlefield, target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 5/5 for as long as Skilled Animator remains on the battlefield. That's sweet. I like this guy. Sweet to make a Renegade map a 5/5. I don't think he's great. But it's a cool effect. And I like that it's not just end till end of turn. It's like they have to remove him. Otherwise you get to beat with your Renegade map. It's also probably just good to put on like an Aether Sphere Harvester, making it a 5/5. Attacking bookcases. Oh yeah. It's got the candelabra in hand. Sleep. Sleep is a good one. A lot of people are saying people are loving this card too much. It is overhyped at the moment. I won't really know till I start drafting with it. I don't think you're going to play this in Constructed. It certainly can win you games. But the problem is when you're behind, it just doesn't do anything real. Did blue flyers become a real thing? I don't know what blue flyers are. I guess Tempest Djinn is a thing. Oh, you think that's like the mono blue Tempest Djinn deck uses sleep? Maybe. God, are we still only on blue? I gotta go faster. But this card is worth talking about. We're gonna see how it works out. Some people are super duper hyped. Some people are saying calm the F down. It's only okay. And the answer to the bookcase versus the dragon. Bookcase doesn't fly. All right. 3/2 flyer for 4, sure. Here's a spirit. 1/3. Other spirits you control get +1/+1. Combos well with that 2-drop. Dockhand or whatever. Siren Storm Tamer is not a spirit. Yeah. It's more for another day. Surge Mare. Double blue. Horse Fish 05. Surge Mare can't be blocked by green creatures. When Surge Mare deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. If you do, loot. Surge Mare gets +2, -2 till the end of turn. This one is fine, I think. For a 2-drop, I like it. Certainly gums up the board. You can jam in there when the jamming's available. I think it's better than the white one. Still not the best one, though. Spoiler alert, the best one, in my opinion, is the black one. Switcheroo, exchange control of 2 target creatures. I think this is definitely draft worthy. And it's, certainly you can have a lot of fun with this card, but it's not going to make it into standard. And the Dragon Turtle match off is awesome. Tezzeret, Artifice Master. Best Planeswalker in the set? Maybe. I don't know. Depends if you count Nicobolas. I'm going to try this guy in my Storm deck. Though I think this guy is just more in like a Karn deck. Him and Karn just chill together. And just out-card advantage you like crazy. Yeah, Ajani was good. But when you're behind, Ajani's not as good. This card's good. It has the Chain Whirler problem. Perhaps you're doing Metallic Mimics, but the Metallic Mimics have the Chain Whirler problem. But I think this card's worth doing, especially if you're trying that combo. If you're trying like the Ballista combo, either with black with Liliana or with just Scrap Trawler, I think that guy goes in there. We'll see him. He'll show up. White blue decks might just play him. Definitely need artifacts. Tolarian Scholar. This is a reprint. Card's not that good. Totally Lost. I don't think this card's that great. It's kind of a time walk, but it's not. You can't do it to a land. It costs 5. I'd actually rather this card was just cheaper and sorcery speed. Oh, but it does have the flip. The guy's name. It's hilarious. All right. Uncomfortable Chill. This reminds me of a card people were playing in Mill. What was it? Whiplash or Hydra Lash? You can maybe see this showing up in mill decks. Wall of Mist. Another shout out to Arcades on color. Sure, if you want to know 5 wall, there you go. Wind Reader Sphinx 3/7 flying for 7. Whenever a creature with flying attacks, you may draw a card. Oh, we did that wall. We were right by it. This card's fine in draft. 7 is just too expensive for standard. I guess if you wanted that mono blue flyer deck, maybe. But you should win before you're at 7 mana. All right. Oh, that's interesting. Makes it worse. On to black. Abnormal Endurance. Until the end of turn, target creature gets +2/+0 gains. When this creature dies, return to the battlefield tap. If you were with me yesterday, you saw us get blown out by Demonic Vigor. This is more supernatural stamina. And that's a fine combat trick in draft. It costs 1 more. Is it just strictly worse? Way worse, because it comes in the battlefield tapped as well, right? Still, I think it's good enough. Yeah. Blood Divination. As additional cost, cast a spell, sacrifice a creature, draw 3 cards. This is probably fine in draft. There's not too many token strategies in this draft. Unless you get like Psy. It sucks to have to sacrifice a creature. Otherwise, it's just dead card in your hand. Won't make it into mill, but can be fine if you can find some tokens. Bog Stomper, 6-drop, 6/5. The tallest alligator I've ever seen. Sure. Bone Dragon, 5-drop, 5/4 flyer. Pay 5. No. We've done white and blue. Now we're on black. Return pay 5. Exile 7 cards from your graveyard. Return Bone Dragon from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So you don't get a discount, which is a little bit annoying. But this card is hard to deal with. I would certainly draft this card. Clearly it should be in a Reanimator deck where you're self-milling. It's no Gurmag Angler, I'll tell you that. I don't know. It's fine. Maybe it shows up in Reanimator decks. It's Child of Night. Do you guys remember when I did the challenge that was Suntail Hawk and Child of Night? I'm not sure. There might have been a few other stipulations, but it was definitely full play set of each of those. This card is terrible in standard, playable in draft. Some people like this a lot in draft. I think it's only kind of meh. But you always got to watch out for lifelink. You were mad on Bone Dragon, Thelona? Oh, yeah. 4 fog, right. We got it, man. That deck won a few times. That deck was killing it for a while. Death Baron. 3-drop, 2/2 zombie wizard. That's a lord for zombies and skeletons and gives them death touch. I was really unimpressed with mono black zombies when I saw it getting played last night. It has some terrible matchups. So the question then becomes, what are the good matchups? And you're going to need a lot of them because some matchups are terrible. It's worth a try. I think a lot of people are going to try black zombies, but I think they're going to be disappointed. That's a monk prediction for you right there. At least until I mean, when Shadows of Innistrad or whatever the next set, that's clearly going to have zombies or skeletons, and then we could be talking. You think pirates is better than zombies? Demon of Catastrophes, 4/6/6 Flample on a 4-drop. All you have to do is sacrifice a creature. Great in draft. Not good enough for standard, but it is a demon. And let's keep our eyes on demon keywords. Oh no, I think people are going to be disappointed in zombies. This is a good zombie card, though. A 2/2 for 1. Just comes in the battlefield tapped. Goes well with your Dread Wanderers. Maybe replaces Dread Wanderers. Just keep coming back. Doom Dissenter. I like that this card's just always around. This card's a fun little card. Duress. This art is a little scary to me. I could have done with some other art. I think you need to print Duress. If you print something like Teferi, you better be printing Duress. Epicure of Blood. 5-drop 4/4. Whenever you gain a life, each opponent loses a life. This is fine in a life gain draft deck. 4/4 for 5 is not terrible. It's a vampire, which is not affected by the Lord, right? That's only zombies and skeletons. Fell Spectre. Now, I'm pretty sure LSV rated this card pretty high. I thought this card was garbage. I talked up in Ninja's chat about it. You know what deck this might be sweet in is GPG. A 4/4 flyer that makes him discard a card. I mean, we already have Kite Sail Freebooter that kind of does that. But this card also does it. Not if they don't have any cards in hand, it's not value. Then it's a 1/3 flyer for 4. And guess what deck doesn't have a lot of cards in hand? Red decks. Guess what decks people actually like discarding to turn on Hazarets? Red decks. So, I don't know. This card's meh. Meh. Fraying Omnipotence. 5-drop sorcery. Each player loses half their life, then discards half their cards in their hand, then sacrifices half the creatures they control. I don't think this card is bad in like a Reanimator deck or once again GPG. Like, I think you could make this card work. Where's my phone? Oh, crap. You guys got to give me a second. The air conditioning guy's here and he's not supposed to be here. Well, I feel terrible. That guy drove like an hour over here, and I don't know. Welcome, Ace. Yeah, I like Reanimator. I like GPG, which is basically Reanimator. Um, you could play Direfleet Ravager with this, and just play like Direfleet Ravager, Omnipotence, and Banefire, and just go straight at their life total. Yeah, I don't know. Certainly worth playing. Certainly worth casting once. I hope the animation in Arena is awesome for this, because it better be. I demand high-class animation. Gravedigger, this card has been around forever. Sword Point? Yeah, dude. Get him, Thelona. Gravedigger is a fine draft card and a miserable other card. Graveyard Marshal, on the other hand, is perhaps the most important card to zombies. Double black, 3/2. You can pay 3, exile a creature card from your graveyard, create a tap 2/2 black zombie creature token. So right now, one of the problems is Scrap Heap Scrounger is kind of just better than this card. It's easier to cast. It's cheaper to activate. But it doesn't have zombie synergies. I don't know. I mean, this is the card. If zombie's going to be a thing, this is easy 4 of, and you got to work this card. I just don't know, flooding the board with a bunch of 2/2s. I mean, I guess with the double lords, maybe. We'll try zombies. I'm going to let other people try zombies first. Yeah, I've seen people do that, but then you kind of run out of stuff to get. Unless you're finding a good way to mill yourself. I'm going to let other people try zombies and tell me if it's good before I try zombies. Yeah, both Crew Heart. I like this card. Don't get me wrong, I like this card, but after seeing zombies last night, I'm down on zombies, and so we'll see. Black aggro's back. Maybe. Higher Blade, 3/2 flash, 3/2. I mean, 3 mana, 3/2 flash. Seems fine. Infectious Horror. 4-drop, 2/2. When Infectious Horror attacks, each opponent loses 2 life. It's a zombie and a horror, so if you got your thing in the ice out, there you go. Otherwise, I don't know. This card's pretty bad. Infernal Reckoning. Another card not made for standard or draft, really. Exile target colorless creature. Blah. It's cool because it's a 1-drop, but you're not going to. No one's going to play that card. Infernal Scarring. We've seen this card before. For example, whatever the first card in the set was, I think is just way better than this card. The supernatural stamina type card. Abnormal, whatever. This is a pretty bad one. Now, I'm not sure if there's a lot of enchantment payoffs in green. So and I would think it would be green-white. But if it's green-black enchantments, then maybe you play this in a draft. Izareth the Awakener, 3-drop, 3/3 with Death Touch, Human Wizard. Oh, this is why I wanted to do blue-black wizards for this guy. When Izareth the Awakener attacks, you may pay X. When you do, return target creature card, convert a mana cost X from your graveyard to the battlefield with a corpse counter on it. That creature would leave the battlefield, exile instead. That's a lot of words just to say you reanimate a creature. And then it dies for good. I don't know. Like, this is sweet. You can get back a Siren Storm Tamer for just 1 if you are playing blue-black wizards. You, like, try to get out there with a few early spells, and then you counter everything else. But if you're playing black, you can also have Vraska's Contempt and stuff. Gets an Naban back. The corpse counter is just to remind you to exile the card. Though I guess that Suncaller would work. You could use the sun. You could use the Suncaller to remove the counter from the creature, therefore killing it. There you go. We found a good use for Suncaller. Anyway, I like this card a lot, and I am going to try Blue-Black Wizards because I think that's pretty sweet. Plus, you could run a Scarab God. I know he's not a wizard, but he is a Scarab God. Siren Storm Tamers, the Bonds. There's probably some other good ones. I haven't checked into the Blue Wizards lately, but Silvergill Adept. The mana cost here is a little tight, but if you're 2-color, you should be able to do okay. Lich's Caress. This is unconditional removal in draft for 5 mana. Liliana Untouched by Death. 4-drop, 4 loyalty creature. You can +1. Put the top 3 cards of your library in the graveyard. If at least one of them is a zombie card, each opponent loses 2 life. You gain 2 life. -2. Target creature gets -X until X till end of turn, where X is the number of zombies you control. That's like, I can't remember the card. And -3, you may cast zombie cards from your graveyard this turn. So if you don't know, there is a infinite damage combo where you have Metallic Mimic, Walking Ballista, Arcane Adaptation, and this. I think the infinite combo is just better with Scrap Trawler. I think this might be also the problem with zombie decks right now is people are testing out this card, and I just think it's not good. It's not going to end up being good. So they're kind of wasting a 4-drop slot on something that could be better. I would much rather have the other Lilies +1 where you actually get a 2/2 zombie. Yeah, I think the good zombie decks are going to not actually have this card. I think she's poopy. On the other hand, her contract is awesome. 5 mana enchantment. When Liliana's contract enters the battlefield, you draw 4 cards. You lose 4 life. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 or more demons with different names, you win the game. Now this one, I am going to try. And this one, you do have to play Arcane Adaptation. Nice one, Ninja. Yeah, if you're ever going to run Arcane Adaptation, it's here. And this is it. And you can use things like Aether Swooper, which gives you 2 differently named creatures, because it doesn't have to be non-token. So you run something like an Aether Swooper that gives you like 2 creatures, sneak out probably a Champion of Wits or something, and then you're almost at 3. It's at the beginning of your upkeep, so they have to survive a turn. What about we just throw Glorious End in there too? If we're just going down the full jank hole. Something like Hidden Stockpile. Tokens don't have names, huh? That's true. All right, good point. So Aether Swooper's out. Well, I gotta think about it some more. I mean, there's a way to fill the board pretty well. Maybe you do things like with Stitchers. You could also use vehicles. Oh, no, wait. Oh, you can activate them before your upkeep, right? Yeah, maybe the Graveyard Marshal. And the Scrounger. And you could do those both at the end step. Bring back 2 creatures and just win the game. This card I'm going to play. My first real jank attempt is going to be into the Magistrate's Wand, but this will probably be my second. Ornithopter. Too bad you can only have one Ornithopter. Macabre Waltz. This is fine in draft. Mind Rot. This card's a dick move. It's always interesting having dick moves around. It's not a Hymn to Torak, but it's close. Murder. This is maybe the best removal card in draft. It's instant speed, but you're certainly not going to play this over Vraska's Contempt. You have to want more removal than like 4 Fatal Pushes and 4 Vraska's Contempt to play Murder. Nightmare's Thirst. You gain a life. Target creature gets -X on a turn where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. I think this card is great in the black-white life gain deck for draft. Anything that costs 1, man. Maybe there's a black-white Angels deck. I don't know. This card's interesting. It's probably just bad in Standard. But Standard's where you could really build life gain in. Like, you can play that artifact that automatically gains you a life. So therefore, this is always doing -2, -2. Like, if you kill a Hazoret with this, that's nice. Too bad Glorybound Initiate is a 3/1. Chain Whirler. Open the Graves. 5-drop enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Yeah, you kill Bullmat Courier with it. Though so does Fatal Push. You have to figure out when it's better than Fatal Push and why you want to play it over Fatal Push. This card is okay. I would not pick this card in the draft. I don't think it's that good. Eventually, I'd be happy to get it, but since it's rare, probably not going to come around much. I'm probably not going to see this card too much. Phylactery Lich. Triple black, 5/5, indestructible. When it enters the battlefield, put a phylactery counter on an artifact you control. When you control no permanents with phylactery counters on them, sacrifice the Lich. I think this card is a beater. At 3-drop. I guess I would look at blue-black artifacts for this card to be good in. I do not think it would be good in a zombie deck. This card's interesting. 5/5 for 3. I mean, it just kills Steel Leaf Champion. Comes out the exact same turn and kills it. Like, you can't kill it, and you can't. 5/5 is hard to just put something in front of that doesn't die. And I don't know how much artifact hate there is, especially when a Braid rotates out. You play some Renegade maps. You play, I don't know. Like, you might just have to slam it on a Heart of Kiran. But that might be okay. I know you guys are going to say that anything that can die that easily is bad, but you only need a couple swings with a 5/5 to get your point across. And the best horse of them all, Plague Mare. All fountain all the time. Padim. Yeah, that's why I think blue-black. Like, it screams Tezzeret. Though I don't think we have a very good Tezzeret. Plague Mare is a 2/2, 3-drop. Plague Mare can't be blocked by white creatures. When Plague Mare enters the battlefield, creatures your opponent controls gets -1/-1 on turn. It's Goblin Chain Whirler. Kind of. This card is great in draft. I don't know. If mono white is a thing, maybe this is okay, but -1/-1 might not be enough. The thing is, Chain Whirler already has people playing 2 toughness creatures, so then it's like, But it's still the best mare by far. Well, not by far. The green one's pretty decent too. Mare Whirler. I like that. This card's good, but I don't think it's going to see constructed play. Ravenous Harpy. 1/2 flyer for 3. Sacrifice another creature, put a +1/+1 counter on Harpy. Once again, this card seems okay, but I just don't know if there's enough token generators. Like, if we could get a cube draft going with and put this in a Sapperling deck, that seems fine in draft format. It's not good enough to make a standard try-hard Sapperling deck. I don't know. This card's okay. I'm not drafting it very highly. Reassembling Skeleton, on the other hand, is quite annoying. This card I like. It's a skeleton. It gets pumped by one of the lords. This card will be quite annoying, I'm sure, over and over again when you have a primordial worm trying to get through and it just chumps every turn. Look. There's a reanimation spell. Probably one of the worst ones. I think even in a reanimator deck, you're not really running this spell. You just would rather be running Lily or GPG. More skeletons. When Skeleton Archer enters the battlefield, deals 1 damage to any target. A 3/3 for 4. Okay. I don't know. Not very good. Skymarch Bloodletter. We've seen this guy before from Ixalan, I think. 3-drop, 2/2 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 1 life. You gain 1 life. This is a pretty good draft card at common. A 2/2 flyer that gains you a little bit of life. Archers without reach. Wizard's punt. I feel like they should have a higher punt count than that. Hi, matey.
Daddy, I made my own ship with pillows, big ones.
Okay, I'll go check them out a little bit, okay?
And it can go in, I can be pirate in it. I be pirate, sail beyond the seas.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, Sovereign's Bite. Sorcery for 2. Target player loses 3 life. You gain 3 life. What was that other card that did this? I can't remember. This card sucks. Stitcher's Supplier. That was a Monkling. You don't like Sword Point Diplomacy more? I mean, you might as well run Essence Extraction. Probably. This card, of course, has a lot of GPG people titillated, including myself. Yesterday we tried to mock up a white-black GPG deck, which failed miserably. The black-red one, though, I'm pretty excited for. And blue-black is the one most people are thinking about. It's also just good in reanimator decks. It's good in a zombie deck, too, because it fills your graveyard for the Graveyard Marshal. But yeah, I'm certainly going to be trying this. Red-black is where I'd like to try. I think that's will be the most different. Blue-black's already around. The only question in blue-black is whether you replace Minister of Inquiries with it or run both. This card is fine removal in draft. A 4-2 for 4, even with Menace, is Vampire Neonate. This card seems fine in draft. A 1-drop. Each opponent loses 1 life. You gain 1 life. Tap them every turn. Ping them. An expensive Tim, but it only costs 1. Vampire Sovereign. What's the name for this one? 5-drop 3/4 flyer. When Vampire Sovereign enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. You say it was OP? I don't know about OP. It's fine. What is it? A Flyno? Is that what we're calling it? There's some other word, adjective that goes before that. Siege Flyno? Is that what we're calling? It's definitely a shout out to Siege Rhino. This card is very good. Draft it. Walkie Corpse. A grizzly bear with the zombie title. Act of Treason. This card is pretty bad. Alpine Moon. This card is terrible always. I mean, I guess Wizards really likes their Blood Moon effects. I thought a lot of people didn't like Blood Moon effects. Baranes. But this card is pretty bad. It's not even good against Tron. Apex of Power. This is what we were talking about earlier. It does cost 10. But Jaya can ramp you there. You Jaya ramp into Apex of Power and then rip Omniscience off the top. This card is terrible. This card is great. Someone had said that this makes the winless to Fury strategies worse. And I like that idea for sure. Banefire's going in some decks, people. What do you guys think about it over Cut to Ribbons? I guess if you're playing black, I think Cut to Ribbons is... Well, Cut to Ribbons can be canceled. I don't know if you play both. Cut to Ribbons is probably fine in that Freeing Omnipotence deck, too. But this card's going to see some play. It should replace Fight with Fire completely, I would think. And even just killing a Bomat Courier with it on turn 2 is not terrible. This card's good and is going to finish a lot of games, whether it be draft or perhaps even standard. I'm psyched for a Disintegrate or whatever this card is. Uncounterable Disintegrate. Bogart Brute. 3/2 Menace for 3 I can get behind. Fine draft card. Catalyst Elemental. Not that great. Can get you to your Apex of Power faster. Crash Through. This is a cantrip. Trample can be okay. I think this is fine. Dark Dweller Oracle. 2-drop 2/2. Goblin Shaman. Pay 1, sacrifice a creature, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. There's just not enough tokens. There's not goblin fodder. There is one goblin that makes a goblin, but I don't know. Try this guy out a little bit. He could be okay. I mean, it's a little bit like Matter Reshaper, you know? You chump block, you sack it, you replace it with a card. So I think it's fine in drafts. I don't think I'd be first picking it. It'd be sweet to see in a Saprolings deck. Demanding Dragon. 5/5 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, does 5 damage to target opponent unless that player sacrifices a creature. I don't love this card. I don't think it's replacing Glorybringer. Maybe when Glorybringer rotates out. But you might just want to be playing Banefire instead of a 5-drop. If you're playing mono red dragons, you're certainly playing this. Redundancy in Goblin GPG. I mean, it would be sweet to hit a Godpharaoh's Gift off of that, but you set the pay 7. I don't think you need redundancy. You already have Fanatical Firebrand and Skirk Prospector. I don't know. A lot of people are high on this card. I'm pretty low on this card. We'll see. We'll see who's right and who's wrong. Dismissive Pyromancer. 2-drop, 2/2. Pay a red and tap it for a reverse loot. Pay 3 red, sacrifice it, deals 4 damage to target creature. This card I like a good amount. It comes down early. It's always sitting around to kill a creature. And it does the magical amount of 4 damage, which is pretty damn good. And the loot effect is fine too. Like maybe this goes in a red GPG deck, you know? The looting's super nice. You can also sack it and kill something at the same time. Yeah, I like this wizard too, and I also don't know how useful it's going to be, but it's pretty good, and I would definitely draft it. Pick one. Maybe pick one. Depends how good red is overall, but I think red is pretty good because I think Sarkhan is pretty good in draft. Double cast. People seem to just be blowing this card off, but I don't know. If you're doing just like big burn with ramp, I mean, I guess it just gets countered. First the insult, then the encore. But probably not. You'd probably just rather have another burn spell than a conditional spell. Dragon Egg. Egg Tribal Hype. 0/2 Defender. When it dies, create a 2/2 red dragon that has fire breathing. This card's sweet. I'd put this in my draft deck. I don't know. It seems like a filler card to me, Thelona. I think you'd rather just have another good card than double cast. Like, I think the blue-red Mirari Conjecture deck could be a thing, and then you just use Mirari Conjecture to do that instead of double cast. Though I guess double cast plus Mirari Conjecture is pretty ridiculous. Would Mirari's Conjecture copy this? Copy the copy? Whenever you cast a spell. And this makes a copy, so it would not copy the copy. All right, moving on. Electrify. Good enough removal. It's a glory bringer for 1 less mana and no body. In the same colors. Fiery Finish. This card's pretty terrible even in draft. Why not have Banefire? For 6 mana, the Banefire does 5 damage and is uncounterable to any creature, any target. Fire Elemental is just generally bad. 5/4, I guess, is okay, but probably not. Here's our Goblin token. Sure. 2 1/1s for 2. Okay. Goblin Motivator. Yeah, I don't like these ones very much. Gives haste. Meh. Goblin Trashmaster. It's a Lord for 4, a 3/3 body, and you can sacrifice a goblin to destroy target artifact. This seems okay. I mean, I don't think goblins are going to be a thing. And someone said that zombies were the worst tribe, but I think goblins could be pretty bad. This card has some uses. Once again, not enough goblin tokens, really, though. Gutter Snipe. 3-drop 2/2. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Gutter Snipe deals 2 damage to each opponent. This is kind of interesting. This might go in like a burn deck, a little extra 2. Maybe this goes in like a Flame of Keld deck. How much damage would 2 shocks do with the Gutter Snipe out on the 3rd chapter of Flame of Keld? Would it do 16 damage off 2 shocks? With Flame of Keld? It's +2. It's +2 for each shock, and then it's +2 for each time this triggers. Dear God, uh-oh, I think we got the Lona going now. That's pretty efficient. So I do like this card a lot, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in a goblin deck. Wait, we don't have Thermo Alchemist, do we? Are you talking about something else? You're attacks 2 for 4 more. Yeah, I don't know. This card's fun. It's a reprint, right? Havoc Devils, 4/3 trample. I think this is a fine draft card in the 4-drop slot. Yeah. Hostile Minotaur, 4-drop for a 3/3 haste. Maybe. You don't want to play it, but you might have to. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Does 1 damage every time you cast a non-creature spell. It's not Firebrand Archer, is it? Maybe it is. Inferno Hellion, 4-drop, 7/3 trample. At the beginning of each end step, if Inferno Hellion attacked or blocked this turn, it shuffles into the library. Wow, this card is just the terriblest. Let's not even talk about it. That card is just bad. I don't get that card at all. Lathless Dragon King, 6-drop flying Dargon for 6/6 with fire breathing. Well, wait, it's not called fire breathing. It's called something else when it costs 2. But it gives all your dragons +1/+0 till the end of turn. Also, whenever another non-token dragon ETBs, you get a 5/5 red dragon with flying. If you like dragons, this card's for you. I'm going faster. Lava X. Garbage. Lightning Mare. The spell can't be countered. 3/1. Can't be blocked by blue creatures. +1/+0 until end of turn. Sideboard card. Against a mono blue deck. Lightning Strike. Sure. Anaki Ogre. 4-2 for 3. I'd rather have a 3-3 for 3. See how fast we can move when we want to? Talk about what with Sarkhan's Unsealing and Thud. The Lathless Dragon. Sarkhan Fireblood, 3-drop. 3 loyalty counters. +1, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Loot effect. People have been pretty happy with this loot effect. Add 2 mana in any combination of colors. Spend this mana only able to cast dragons. Sure. -7. The -7 isn't that good. 4/5/5 flying dragons is okay, but it's not great. Man, we went through that. I don't even know where that 7/3 is. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. That's too much. Too much, Nomad. Oh, yeah. Everyone says red is really bad. That's what I hear. People have really been liking Sarkhan. I don't know. Okay, I'll try him out. He can get you your turn 4 Glorybringer with the mana up. It's not bad. Of course, you could play Arcane Adaptation, and then you could get any creature. Get 2 extra mana for. Sarkhan's Unsealing. I think this is a fun card to pick one in a draft. If you can make the right draft deck for this, you could just wreck shop. You just have to survive. Turn 4 Lathless. There we go. Whenever you cast a creature spell with power 7 or greater, Sarkhan deals 4 damage. This card is just fun to draft. I don't think it'll make it even in like a real dragon deck. But boy, oh boy, this card seems fun in sealed or draft. Shock. I don't really like this art. Siegebreaker Giant. 5 drops, 6/3 Trampler. Target creature can't block this turn. This is okay. This can definitely push through some damage at the end. I don't know. I think Sarkhan is going to surprise you guys. He's hard to kill. He gets some extra life. Smelt. Sure. Spark Tongue Dragon. 3/3 flyer for 5. When it enters the battlefield, you can kick it for 3. If you do, it deals 3 damage to any target. Pretty sweet. It's no Glorybringer, but fine in draft. Spit Flame. Spit Flame deals 4 damage to target creature. Whenever a dragon enters the battlefield, you may pay 1 red, return it. Maybe you put one of these in your dragon deck or something. I think it's fine removal, but it's a freaking rare. Like, do you really pick one pack run Spit Flame? I don't think so. Sure Strike. 3/0 first strike. Sure Strike. 3/0 first strike. It's a okay combat trick. Sweet for Death Touch and Menace creatures. Tectonic Rift. Little land destruction at the 4-drop slot. I'm always down with land destruction. I like that haphazard bombardment. Thud. Thud deals damage equal to the sacrifice creature's power to any target. I've seen people try and do active treason and Thud. I don't know what you're talking about, Galta deck. Are you still talking about that terrible 7/3? Tormenting Voice. I like this card a lot. A little mini Cathartic Reunion. Trumpet Blast. Meh. Vashina Pyromancer. 2/1, 2-drop. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to target player planeswalker. This card's pretty bad. You can play it if you have to in draft. Volcanic Dragon, 6-drop, 4/4 fly and haste. This is a fine draft card. And a strictly worse Glorybringer. Volley Veteran, 4-drop, 4/2. When Volley Veteran enters the battlefield, it deals damage to target creature and opponent controls equal to the number of goblins you control. I don't know. You might be able to draft enough goblins for this to be good in draft. I mean, it's a little bit like Fire Fist Adept. Fire Fist Adept is like a 5-drop, 3/3. All right, on to green. Blanchwood Armor. It's hard to be more aggro than the Wizards deck already is. It's most... Yeah, I don't know. Blanchwood Armor. Yeah, I'm in a little bit, okay? I'll be done soon, okay? You have to wait. Disenchantment's pretty good in draft. You could get blown out, but if you're doing an enchantment thing, this is one of the enchantments you want to get. It's pretty powerful. Bristling Boar, 4/3 that can't be blocked more than one creature for 4. Fine. 4-drop. Centaur Courser, 3/3 for 3 Grey Ogre. Fine. Colossal Dreadmaw, 6/6 Trampler for 6. Fine. Colossal Majesty, 3-drop. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. This is kind of a build-around card in draft. I mean, we used to have something like this in duels that also cost 3. But that one, I think you drew a card every time you played a creature with 4 or more. This one, you just have to have it on the board. Daggerback Basilisk, 3-drop, 2/2, Death Touch. Elemental Bond, it is not. You got to be careful when you hear the word Basilisk, because then you got to think about Lure, and that is what we have in this set. So the Daggerback Basilisk plus that Lure is going to lead to some serious blowouts. Though it can only do 2 damage. Still, you can kill their 2 best creatures. And here it is, right after. Declare Dominance, 5-drop. Target creature gains +3/+3 to end of turn. All creatures able to block it this turn do so. Look how they put them right next to each other. So then it's a 5/5 Death Toucher that every creature has to block. Blowout City. Blowout City. Rabid Bite, someone mentioned, also good with Death Touch. Yeah, green is looking pretty good in terms of draft. Good luck, Bologna. It's a sweetly named card. Druid of the Horns. Whenever you cast an aura spell that targets Druid of the Horns, create a 3/3 green beast creature token. So this is one of the payoffs for playing enchantments. You get a 3/3 out of it. It's pretty good. So even if you get 2 for 1, you're kind of okay. As long as the... Actually, you only have to cast an aura that targets it. So even if they kill the card, you're still going to get the 3/3 beast. So I like this card a good amount, especially in draft. Matter of principle. Druid of the Cowl. We know this guy. 1/3. Doesn't die to Chain Whirler. Elf. Sweet. Green Seeker. Now this card is a little more exciting to me than Druid of the Cowl. 2-drop, 1/3. Look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may reveal it and put it into your hands. Weren't we saying we wanted to know the top card of our library Oh, that was for the Gin of Wishes. This card is a combo with Gin of Wishes. I guess Explorer works really well for the Gin of Wishes too. Green blue Gin of Wishes. Some Jadelight Rangers, some Dryad Green Seekers. You're going to have more land than you know what to do with. Declare dominant. Neo Dog likes this card a lot. Yeah, this card's cool. It's fun. I would draft it pretty highly. I mean, a lot of times you're just drawing a card. It's a 1/3 body, which is great. Doesn't synergize with Tendershoot Dryad, but is a Dryad. Spore Crown Thallid pumps Dryads, right? No, that's a fungus or sapperling. Anyway, this card is great in draft and might even be in standard. It's pretty cool. I can't wait to see what happens with this card. Here's our Elvish Lord, the Elvish Clan Caller, double green, 1/1. Other elves you get +1/+1. Pay 6 and tap it, and you can get another Clan Caller onto the battlefield untapped. If you really like elves, you're playing 4 of these. Arcane Adaptation, Dryad style. I don't know. I don't think elves are any good. This card dies the Chain Whirler. But if you like elves, you're playing 4 of it. Not the card I want to open in my packs, though, as my rare. Elvish Rejuvenator. 1/1 for 3. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them in the battlefield tapped. Put the rest on the bottom of your library. Now, if you read the Frank Karsten article, he basically says this card is better than perhaps just as good as what's the one where you enchant a land? Gift of Paradise. Because the chances of drawing a land at 5 cards are very high. And the payoff is you get a 1/1 body with it, which can chump something that might do 3 damage to you, so then it's pretty much the same as Gift of Paradise. If it chumps something that does more damage, then it's better. You might see this card in ramp decks. It's definitely better than Spring to Mind if you're not going to play the Mind. I don't know. This card you might see more than you might expect. It might be one of the better ramp cards around. It might miss sometimes, but probability-wise, I think it's like less than 10%. The double color is meaningful. You talk about the Gift of Paradise? It depends what your deck's trying to do. If you're trying to go like 4 color or something, I could see what you're saying there. Never go wrong with ramp. What up, Pro Mode? We're getting pretty close to the end here. Gaspark Twins, 7-drop, 7/7 trample. They can block an additional creature. This is a bomb. I'd rather have this than a Primordial Worm. It's uncommon. Kirapor Guide. 3/2 for 3. You can pay 3. Target creature control can't be blocked this turn with power 2 or less. This is worth playing. You can sneak some damage through. Yeah, I tried to draft an Oasis Ritualist deck with Hour and never got a payoff for all those Ritualists. Giant Spider. It does what spiders do. It has reach and a big butt. Good card. Gift of Paradise. We were just talking about you. Now, my son likes to call this a Gigano. Oh, I guess it's spelled differently here. This is Gigantosaurus. But he says Giganosaurus. But I think it's spelled differently. Anyway, 10-10 for 5 green. This is plenty good in draft. Probably not good enough in standard. 10-10 for 5 green. I mean, this is just R&D having a little bit of fun. Look at it. Look at it just eating up that dragon. Anyway, this card is weird. The casting cost is just super restrictive. And I already think mono green. Like, I'd rather be playing Verduous Gearhulk than this. Goreclaw, Terror of Calcisma. 4-drop, 4/3. Legendary creature bearer. Creature spells you cast with power 4 or greater cost 2 less to cast. When Goreclaw the Terror attacks, each creature you control with power 4 or greater gets +1 and gains +1/+1 and gains trample on a turn. I like this. This has got to find its way into Green Stompy. It almost casts Ghalta by itself. It's 6 towards Ghalta. It is legendary. You think it's a Jank Claw? You don't think this goes into Mono Green Stompy? Mono Green Stompy is for real. Might even be fine in a Constrictor deck. Because a lot of times the Constrictor deck has a lot of big creatures, but no trample. Though this card does have a lightning strike all over its back. And since you're playing Steel Leaf Champion, they can't lightning strike that, so they're saving their lightning strike when he attacks. Hey, thanks for that, host CGB. I don't know, it's a fun card. Definitely going to play around with that card. 2/2 Vigilant Creature. 2/1 that gains you 2 life. I like the Elk more than the Vigilance creature. They're both filler. Hungering Hydra is good. Green X. Hungering Hydra enters battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. Another card we can kill with our Sun Caller. Three mana Glory Belief Flamples. Yeah, man. Red Green Monsters is a good deck for that too. Hungry Hydra can't be blocked by more than one creature. Hungry Hydra is dealt damage, put that many +1/+1 counters on it. This card is pretty sick. Do you get 2 extra counters off Goreclaw? I think you do, right? Yo! Slither DFO, what up, man? CGB is a good guy. I'm glad you're following his advice. I like this card a lot. I would first pick this in a draft, no problem. And this, I don't know. I'm not sure there's a great sideboard for this to come off of, but this is an interesting card. Naturalized, sure. Oaken Form. I don't think it's as good as Blanchwood Armor, but if you need enchantments in green, it's fine. Palaka Worm. 4 and triple green, 7/7 trample. Enters the battlefield to gain 7 life. When it dies, you draw a card. People are saying this might replace Sifter Worm in the Sifter Worm decks. Maybe. Or maybe this is more of a Banefire ramp instead of a Sifter Worm. It's a big mamma jamma. I would draft this one first pick. I hope I get a Gigantosaurus next. Yeah, it's hard to know. Drawing a card is good. The Scry is really important for Sifter Worm because you're trying to find those dual cards. If you're not worried, if you don't have to find dual cards, I don't know. Plummet, sure. Actually, people have been saying that flyers are a big problem, so you might want to main deck Plummet in draft if you're green. Grun Redux. It's a little bit like the Snapping Sailback. Prodigious Growth. This card can win games in draft. If you're playing an enchantment deck, this is the enchantment you're hoping for. 7/7 Trample. Pretty good. Whoa! I'm kind of sad I'm missing the soccer. And friendship. 13 frickin' months, people. That is my longest sub. Thank you to Shard for all your support and subbery. And when you used to mod my channel, remember that? I liked that too. Welcome back, Shard. Yeah. Kind of sad I'm missing the soccer game. I wish you hadn't brought it up. We're trying to get through this really fast. And by really fast, I mean very soon. Rabid Bite. I do like this card in draft. It's green removal, and it doesn't fight another creature, which I like a lot. Works well with the Death Touch. It's just nice to deal damage and not have to worry about fighting a creature. Sean's here too. What up? Rexage. This card freaking cost me an NGA tournament. I was jamming Mardu vehicles because that's the kind of guy I am. And this guy played like 2 reclamation stages in a row, killing like a Hardicuran and a Copter or something. And then traded with my 3/1 dwarf on the ground. I got 2-for-1 all over the place. I guess CGB likes it. So the question is, when do you play this over Naturalize? It does die to Chain Whirler. It's not instant speed. I don't think Elf Tribal is a thing in this format. But I'd certainly play it over Naturalize in that kind of deck. We'll see. It'll show up. Artifact decks are going to be around. It would be sweet to hit a GPG with this, but the thing is, it's not instant speed, right? So you'd much rather have a Naturalize against GPG. You can't have them getting a trigger. Now, once GPG rotates out, maybe Rexage is fine. Recollect is how I pronounce this, not recollect. You want to fight me on it? 3-drop, return target card from graveyard to hand. Sure. Rhino Monk hype.
Oh boy.
Rock's Oracle, 5-drop, 4/2. When Rock's Oracle enters the battlefield, draw a card. This card is pretty bad unless you're playing Sarkhan's Unleashing or the green card, the Elemental Bond wannabe. It's a monk. I'm super hyped for it, but otherwise it's a pretty bad card. A 5-drop for 4/2 is pretty bad. Root Snare. Fog for all you people who like fog. I'm glad they started making fog costs too. That's nice. Runic Armasaur. 3-drop, 2/5. Whenever an opponent activates an ability of a creature or land that isn't a mana ability, you may draw a card. Sure. I don't think it's better than Brontodon, but in draft, this card is plenty good. I'm trying not to hate on it. I'm just trying to be real with you guys. I'm trying to be objective. I'm not saying there won't be a mono monk challenge, and that guy's going to rock the house as Cantasaur. Scape Shift. Scape Shift. Maybe. Mending of Dominaria. Mending of Dominaria works well with this card. I'm not sure you really want creatures, though, so chapters 1 and 2 are kind of meh. You guys really like this Armasaur, huh? Scape Shift is fun. I'm going to try stuff with it. I don't think we really have enough good stuff for this card to be any kind of broken, but it's something. Neutering Ballista is great. There are decks that only run Ballista. That's a nice hater on that one. Scape Shift to Tatiova. Can you get any kind of land? You can get any kinds? So you can get Reliquary Tower with it, which is what you would need to do in that situation. Talons of Wildwood. Fine on an enchanted draft deck. Thorn Lieutenant, 2-drop, 2/3. Whenever Thorn Lieutenant becomes a target of a spell, create a 1/1 green elf warrior. Pay 6, it gets 4/4. So this card is great in draft. My guess would probably be a 4 of if you're trying to make an elf deck. I can't really think of a better 2-drop elf right now. I guess Marwyn. This is not the greatest card in the world, but it's certainly good enough for draft and good enough for the current elf situation. I know I'm going fast. You guys probably want to talk about this card more, but we're trying to knock this out. Thornhide Wolves. Pay 5 for 4/5. Meh. Titanic Growth. This is a classic trick. +4/+4 at instant speed. Omaran is a 3-drop. Vigilant Baloth. I like this one better than whichever one I did. The Thornhide Wolves. 5/5 Vigilance for 5. Vine Mare. Finally the other okay horse. 4-drop 5/3 with Hexproof. Boggles, people unite. Go crazy. You found your creature. Can't be blocked by black creatures. Take that, mono black creature deck. That's true. Yeah, no, that Armasaur is great in draft. Look at guys, I've gone to the big time. Sitting around drinking Pellegrino in the summer. Hedge Monsters from The Shining. Woo. Vivian Reed. 5-drop for 5. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land, put it in your hand, the rest on the bottom of your library. -3. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying is basically strictly worse than Vraska. -8. Creatures you control get +2. Vigilance, Trample, and Indestructible. I hate her. I think she's just bad. Once Nissa rotates out, maybe, but I don't think so. Just play Vraska. And if you don't have black, well, play a different Nissa or Nissa. No, none for her at all. Her -8 is garbage. Yeah. Everyone likes the +1. You need to have your deck pretty thick with creatures. And I guess that's what a mono green deck does. But why not play Vraska? The good mono green deck is already splashing black for Scrounger. So I guess we get rid of Scrounger, we get rid of Nissa, then I could start looking at Vivian. Her alt looks awesome. What if you have no creatures on the board? Her alt looks terrible. I don't like these alts that demand that you have something like this on the board. That's not an alt that wins games. That's an ultimate that sometimes does. Just play Song of Freyleys if you like that ultimate that much. I know, but you need at least like 23 creatures to hit at like 80% offer. I don't know. I don't like her. I don't like her invocation either. for the rest of the game. I still think I don't like it. It's too conditional for an ultimate. Vivian's Invocation 7-drop. I mean, you just +1 it the entire time and then kill something when you have to. You may put a creature card. Look at the top 7. Put a creature card on the battlefield. Put the rest of the bottom of your library. When a creature is put on the battlefield, its turn, it deals damage equal to power to its controller. For 7, I'd rather play Druidic Vow for 5. And I don't like playing Druidic Vow. Wall of Vines. The strictly better Wall of Wood. Sure. Moving on. Multicolored. We're getting to some good stuff. Meteor Golem's okay. Aerial Engineer. 2/4, 4-drop. As long as you control an artifact, you get +2, +0, and has flying. This is a pretty good draft card. I would draft this pretty highly, except that it's multicolored, so you already got to be in on blue-white flyers or artifacts. Are you, though? You still have to cast the creatures. It's not like they get put on the battlefield, right? Just my opinion on Vivian. We will see. Arcades and Strategists. Flying Vigilance, 3/5. God, I really have to read all this. Whenever you play a defender, draw a card. Each creature you control, a defender, assigns combat damage equal to its toughness. And can attack as though it didn't have defender. I would draft a bunch of defenders if I pick one packed one this. But this card is not going to see it in standard play. I guess this is a commander card is what people say. So I don't know much about it. Good luck, CGB. Brawl Bash Ogre. 3/3 for 4 with Menace. When it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. So you have to do this on the declare attacker step, which kind of sucks compared to something like a Thalid Omnivore. But still, I think it's a pretty decent card in draft. Chromium the Mutable. A lot of people are saying this is the mirror breaker in control matchups. 7/7 flash. Can't be countered. Flying. Discard a card until end of turn. Chromium the Mutable becomes a human. With base power and toughness 1/1. Loses all ability and gains hexproof. Can't be blocked. It reminds me a little bit of that that blue-black card, that Insidious Ooze, Insidious Gas. You could flip it and it would be an indestructible 0/1. That one you could flip back before the damage step and then do more damage. So this can't really do damage, but people say this is the mirror breaker. We'll see. We still have Nezahal. I'm not sure it's that much better than Nezahal. Are we still talking about walls? Chromium's going to be super annoying. Yeah. It's true. It's true. We'll see how that goes. What is it? 7-drop? Draconic Disciple. Add 1 mana of any color. 2/2 for 3. 7, sacrifice Draconic Disciple, create a 5/5 red dragon creature. This seems super sweet for draft. Insidious Mist. That's what it was. Thank you, Bell. You think it's better than Nezahal Invasion? Kind of, but Nezahal draws you cards, man. This is, you lose a card when you evade. And Nezahal, I guess you lose 2, but if they're not killing Nezahal on the first spell, then you've gained another card. It does have flying. Yeah. Enigma Drake. Dirty Drakes are on the menu, I guess, still. This card is a great draft card. It's got that 4 toughness, which is awesome. Drake decks forever. It had flash too. That's annoying. Flash is annoying. Woo! Not so fast. Heroic reinforcements. Create 2/2 white soldier tokens until end of turn. Creatures you control gain +1/+1 gain haste. If there is a red-white go wide token deck for draft, I guess you want this one. That's all I'll say about that. Certainly not going to play this with Chain Whirler around in standard. Yeah, I'm glad Drake will too, no man. Nicobolas. Well, guess what you guys are going to see in the meta a lot? This card. Guess what color combination you're going to see a lot? Grixis. Grixis Energy was already a good deck. This card is good. I mean, if you could imagine the Glint Sleeve Siphoner into Whirler Virtuoso, into Nicobolas, still having Vraska's Contempt, maybe some Torrential Gearhulks. I'm going to try Grixis. Is it better than Teferi? I don't know. It's definitely more aggressive. You play Champion of Wits in there too. It certainly gives Esper or Blue-White a run for their money. It's certainly a great reason to just push Grixis. I mean, I liked Kevin Jones's Jeskai control list. And he was only running white for Teferi, so why not run black? You get Vraska's Contempt and Nicobolas. Yeah, I think it'll be somewhere around mid-range. What up, Battlecry? What up, Vinrael? This card is good. You're going to see it all over the place. Remember when we first got Scarab God in Arena? And that was the only card you saw in every deck? It's going to be like that for a while with Nicobolas. Or maybe forever. Personally, in my Grixis mid-range, I would like to run like 4 Champion of Wits and then run like 2 Nicobolas. And a lot of kind of like 2 ofs and 1 ofs and have the Champion of Wits filter. Because I see people running 4 of this and that seems like a bit much. Maybe he's that good. But I prefer to run Champion Wits and a few less of like the legendary creatures and manipulate my deck a little more. And we don't really need to talk about this. It seems like everybody knows, but this is just a very good Planeswalker. When it flips, it's just really good. Draw 2 cards. Deal 10 damage. Reanimate a creature or Planeswalker. Exile everything but 1 card from the library. This card is great. And when you kill it, it just goes back into Nicobolas, the creature, in your graveyard, right? And then you just reanimate it. It's not a mana sink, it's an opponent sink. Yeah, the -12 is just so brutal. That card's really good. You're going to see it everywhere. Palladium Ruiner, 7-drop. Ooh, 6-drop. 6/6 Vigilant Flample. The Ruiner has hexproof if it hasn't dealt damage yet. So that means at any point in time, right? So it just comes into play with hexproof, and the second you attack with it, it'll no longer have hexproof ever. Eh. I'd probably rather just play whatever the dino is, whose name just is escaping me today. 100%. It's not working anymore?
Don't need to search for it.
You just press it. Poison Tip Archer. A green, a black, 2 colorless, 2/3 reach, death touch. Whenever another creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life. I think this is a good draft card. It might even be a good elf card. I don't know if there's any black in elves. Yeah, it's not that bad, but it's no. What's the name of it? It's not Gishath. You guys know what I'm talking about. I just think that dino's better. That dino just does so much when it hits the board. Psionic Symbiote. For 6, you get a 3/3 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent discards a card, and you draw a card. This card is a very good draft card. It's like a 3-for-1. It kills Bolus. Glorybringer does not kill Bolus. Like, you're really going to have to seriously think about playing things that do 4 damage or can exile anything like that with Nicol Bolas around. Because lightning strikes and magma sprays aren't really going to cut it. Though if you're playing Grixis, you should be playing those in your deck. This card's good in draft and not good in not draft. This is the reason the black-white life gain is a thing, is the Regal Bloodlord here. 5 mana for a 2/4 flyer. At the beginning of each end step, if you gain life this turn, create a 1/1 black bat creature token with flying. You probably want at least 2 of these if you're doing the white-black. Or don't even get into white-black unless you already have 1. Might be a better way to put it. I mean, you can play white-black, but just not the life gain angle unless you get this. Okay. Saturn Enchanter. 3-drop, 3/3. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, draw cards. So this makes you want to do green-white enchantments and not green-black. I don't know, Sean. Bloodlord is very good in draft. If you're talking about non-draft, you're right. I'm trying to slam through your Skyrider Patroller, another great draft card. A lot of these gold cards are worth puncturing blow. Right on. Yep, that was the one. Gosh, you really have the main deck puncturing blow? That's pretty terrible. Skyrider Patrol. This looks, the art is very similar to the one that was green, blue, and X and had convergence, was it? Elf Scout. It was also an Elf Scout. 2/3 flyer. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may play a green and a blue. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. That creature gains flying. This card is really good in draft. I don't know why it's a green-blue elf. I mean, there's a green-black elf and a green-blue elf. You're definitely not going to play 3-color elves. Hadana's Climb on a stick. Yeah, it might work with the Hadana's Climb. It's interesting. Ugh. Vevictus. Vevictus Asmati the Dire. Cost 7. It's our Jund friend. Flying 6/6. When this attacks, choose target permanent that, for each player, choose target permanent that player controls. They sacrifice the permanent. Each player who sacrifices a permanent this way reveals the top card of the library and puts it onto the battlefield if it's a permanent. It's interesting. Cost 6, okay. Zakama. That's the one I've been trying to think of all day. Sure. Slap out a Panharmonicon and have some fun. I don't think this is going to make it in standard. But if you like dragons, if you want to play 5-color dragons, you got to play them all. All right, I'm really short on time here, so we're going to go super fast. Amulet Safekeeping, meh. Arcane Encyclopedia, this is pretty good. In draft, being able to draw cards, sweet. Chaos Wand is a weird one. People say it's good and sealed. I just don't know what deck you'd want this in. I don't trust that card at all. Crucible of Worlds. Goes well with If Near Deadlands and If New Rivulet. Desecrated Tomb. This card's just bad, right? This card is just really bad, unless you really want a bunch of 1/1 bats. Diamond Mare. Maybe if you're doing life gain, you can draft this. Get a little extra life gain going. 1/3 horse for 2. Dragon's Horde. It's ramp. I don't know how many dragons you need to make this good, but you certainly could use some dragons to make this good. You think Chaos Wand will be fun? It's certainly a fun card. I'm not sure it's a very good card. Explosive Apparatus. Now there's a 1-drop artifact you guys could just play. It's not so bad to have around if you're looking for 1-drop artifacts. Field Creeper. It's pretty bad. Fountain of Renewal. This is the one I'm most excited for. I'm going to try this one in Storm, as opposed to Prophetic Prism. Gaining life is not really laughable. I mean, it could buy you an extra turn, and then you could sacrifice it to draw a card if you just completely run cold. I'm excited to try this one in Storm. Yep. Do you, Shard? You say you like silly things, and then I remember you just playing a ton of Merfolk. I remember that. Gargoyle Sentinel, meh. Gearsmith Guardian, pretty bad. This is the card I'm most excited for. I'm going to pair this up with Skyship Plunderer. I'm going to take turns. I'm going to take infinite turns one of the days. I'm ready for this. No one else likes it, but I'm ready. Manolith, sure. You gotta keep your eyes out for what you can use for fixing in draft. And Manolith is, we have no evolving wilds. I don't think we have any Traveler's Amulets. So you kind of need Manolith if you're not playing green. Marauder's Axe, this is kind of the cheapest weapon, and it's not that great. Meteor Golem is decent, man. Destroy target non-land permanent. That's pretty awesome. Maybe this goes in a haphazard bombardment ramp deck. Oh wait, it's non-land. Never mind. Still a good card, good removal in draft. Pretty expensive, but I think getting to 7 isn't too hard. Millstone. I think mill could be a thing in draft. And this card you need. As far as mill goes in standard, I would think you would not be playing Millstone. You'd be using those other mill cards. Rogue's Gloves. Maybe this is a nicer piece of equipment than the Marauder's Axe. Maybe not. I think it's worth drafting. Sigiled Sword of Valorant. This card seems great in draft. Perhaps that's it. But this reminds me of Forebear's Blade, which is very good. Sky Scanner. This is passable. You draw a card. It flies. Sure. Suspicious Bookcase. I like the art on this. Otherwise, I think it's pretty bad. Though, I guess it pairs well with Arcades. Probably 4 of in the Arcades, the Strategist deck. This is your win con in the Arcades deck. Silly Arcades. Transmogrifying Wand. This has been doing a lot of work for people. So I'm pretty high on it. You can also steal their creature with active treason, then transmogrify it, and you get the Ox. So that's something. And then the lands. Detection Tower seems pretty no good. It's anti-boggles kind of thing, which is weird. Reliquary Tower. This is going immediately into my Storm deck. Sorry, Tishana. We don't need you anymore. We have Reliquary Tower. At least 2 of these are going in my Storm deck. Rupture Spine. This card seems sweet. I guess this is the other fixing we have. We don't have Evolving Wild, but we have Rupture Spine. Pretty sweet fixer. You could really splash a couple things with this. And that's it. All right, guys. I really got to go. Thanks for hanging out. I hope Arena is back up and running.